Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Simon Chu, and today I'll talk about how to create a simple counter using Java classes and methods. Like always, all the code is available in the description underneath the video. Please feel free to check them out, and I have a lot to do, so let's get into it. So first of all, you can see the layout of my window. So there are two terminal windows. The left one is mainly for writing the code, and the second one will be mainly for testing the code. So let's see what's in the directory. So to make this tutorial easier, I'll show you the result I want to get from this program and the test file. You can see. Alright, so here you can see by creating a counter class, two counter classes, one with no parameter, one with parameter 5 and 3, and we set a loop from 0 to 10. That's the result we will get. So let me explain. So by default, if you don't pass in any parameters, when you call next, the increment will automatically gonna be 1, and the starting point will automatically be initialized to 0. But when you pass in a parameter, for example 5, 3, it will start from 5 and increment 3 each time you call this next function. Alright, so the only thing we need to do right now is we need to create the counter class. So how to do that? So first of all, we use touch command. Touch will automatically create this file under this directory. So counter.java. Alright, so let's first compile this file and see what it does. So we can use javac test counter.java. I'm pretty sure it will give us an error. Yes, here we go. So it's saying bad source file counter.java. File does not contain class counter. So what this test counter.java file is trying to do is trying to find the name counter.java under this current directory. But what if, like, currently there's nothing under this class file, so it's complaining about that. So let's create this class. So let's put today's date under here. Alrighty. So let's see. So first of all, we do public class counter because the name of the file is called counter. And we'll create two variables. We'll set them to private. With private, you can either set it to private or public, but the only difference is if you set it to private, you can't access it from other Java classes, whereas when you set it to public, you can easily access it. But in this case, we don't need to access it because we have different methods that can return this value. So let's just keep it private. So private int count, this is the value that the next method is going to return to the main Java class. Alright, so value returns by next method. Alright, so we'll create another variable called increment. So as I showed you in the test counter.java file, we don't have to, but we can pass in two parameters. The first one will be the starting point, the second one will be the increment. So that's for that. And so we'll create a constructor called counter. So by default, we need to pass in two parameters. The first one will be called initial value. So that defines the starting point, and the second one will return the initial. I just want to differentiate that variable with the increment. So let's call it initial increment. Alrighty. So we'll set this count variable to the initial value that this method get from the user, and we'll set the increment to initial increment. Alrighty, so this is this constructor. For the next constructor, we're going to define what if the user does not specify those parameters. As we can see, alright, let's show you the test counter. So the second constructor will be for this first case, new counter. So we need to define the default value for those two parameters. So let's create another constructor, public counter. So in this case, we have two approaches. So first of all, I'll show you the simplest one. So we can just do count is equal to 0. That means the initial value, the starting point, will be 0, and you can define increment is equal to 1. That will work, but don't you think it's kind of clumsy? So there's another approach. We can do it by using this. So we can do this 0, 1. It will do the same job as the one I just wrote. So let's keep it simple. Alright, so now we're going to define the method next. So as you can see here, the next method, every time you call the next method, the value is going to increment by the value you specified, aka the second parameter. So let's do this, public int next. So int means we will return a value whose type is int. Alright, so so we can create a temp value that that stores the value of count, and then we increment the count by the increment that the user specified, and now we return temp. Alrighty, I think this counter is ready to go. So we can do it by using java c counter.java, java c. Alright, java c test counter.java. Alright, here we go. So now we get two files, test counter.class, and we didn't get any errors. So let's run that. Test counter. Alrighty, so now we successfully got the result I intended to get. Awesome. Alright, so please put your comments below if you have any questions. Please subscribe my channel for more awesome videos, and I'll see you next time.